Hey, what's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm incredibly excited to be joined by somebody who has become a regular on your FightWave schedule programming, somebody we'll be chatting with for the second time today, and one half of a WA duo fighting out of Louis Combat Academy, which has the opportunity to do something absolutely remarkable this season on Dana White's Contender Series. He is facing Gage Young in a Dana White Contender Series bout, and is one of the most exciting prospects to come out of Australia in recent memory. I am privileged to be joined by one half of the Louis Combat Academy duo fighting on the Contender Series, Quillan Salkilld. Quillan, thank you so much for your time, brother. And like I mentioned, just a remarkable opportunity for both you and Cody Haddon this season on Contender Series. Talk to us about how you're feeling and how everything's been, brother.
Man, it's such a cool opportunity to fight on the Contender Series alongside my very close teammate coming from the same gym, the same pretty much the same pro career with the same record, and to both get our opportunities at the same time is it's such a cool thing.
No, yeah, definitely. And I feel like just for you and Cody, this is a long time coming. This opportunity in and of itself, absolutely insane because I feel like you mentioned, it's just everything lining up. You couldn't script it better than this. This is something straight up out of a movie. Talk us through just how the opportunity maybe came about for you at least, and then just the emotions running through just seeing that that dream call up for probably the world's most coveted job interview in the form of the Contender Series.
Yeah, well, for the past, I don't even know, like however many years I've been managed by Jasmine. She's been in contact with Sean Shelby, always after each one of our fights, always contacting him. And then, yeah, after my last one, it probably like 3 weeks later, I got an email saying that, Sean's going to put me on to the Contender Series on this season. So it's been quite a long wait, but yeah, definitely worthwhile.
No, yeah, definitely. And I know for you, not necessarily, something you expected maybe, or it was on like kind of the doorsteps, but I know you always kind of just prepared for whatever comes your way, staying ready. And since we last spoke, you've had two standout performances, probably the best version of Quillan Salkilld we've seen to date, inarguably in a very complete performance against Brett Pastore at Eternal 80 and at Eternal 82 against Dominic Marfan. The rematch, you showed once again why you are the number one lightweight in all of Australia. Talk to us a little bit just about honing in on your craft and really being able to showcase such a high pedigree of fighting so early on in your fighting career and at such a young age.
Yeah, man, it's what I do. Just I think my ability to be able to get better and implement new things in my fights is second to none. Like, yeah, I don't know. I've been working so hard for this, and having it show off and pay off in my my last couple of performances is really been such a great thing. And I think I felt a bit more pressure these last couple of fights because I knew I was being so close to the call up, and I'm glad to have shined under that pressure.
No, yeah, definitely. And I want to kind of touch back to the Contender Series for a moment. I know you, Cody, Romel, and Jasmine flew out to Vegas for Media Day. Talk to us about that experience, kind of what it was like flying all the way over from Australia, which I know is not a kind flight in any stretch of the imagination, over to Las Vegas, and then flying back. I know you stopped to San Francisco and then Vegas and then San Francisco back. Talk to us about one, how bad the flight was, and two, just the experience of being in Vegas in a whole different environment for that media week.
Yeah, the flight definitely sucked, and to do it back to back over like was it 4 days? Oh, it was hell. I think total flight time there and back was like just over 40 hours on the plane. So yeah, that sucked. But being in Vegas was cool. Getting to see the apex and getting all the film production stuff done was cool. I felt like I belonged there. I felt like I was in the at the right place.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I know for you, I've given a lot of credit to Coach Romel just in terms of what he's built because I feel like he doesn't get enough credit overall for what he's been able to do and cultivate with Louis Stroh Combat Academy. I know for you and Cody, just being around Romel and getting the attention that you've gotten from him as a coach, as a peer, and just as a resource, as a person, it's been, unmatchable to any other coach kind of fighter relationship I've seen, at least in the Australian MMA scene. Talk to us just a little bit about what it's meant to have a guy like Romel in your corner and what it's been like for you to kind of just be with him throughout this, this long tenure of your fighting career and just have him by your side.
Yeah, I consider myself really lucky to have, run into Romel. There's lots of coaches around, and there's only a few that are the right fit or the right match for you. And I'm very lucky to have just found him straight away, straight off the bat. Yeah, it's been such a cool ride along with Romel. I put my whole trust into him, and it's paid off. If you're an athlete wanting to get to that next level in the MMA game, he's the right man for the job.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I feel like, the timing of the Contender series, it couldn't have come at a better time because I feel like with all the chaos that has kind of unfolded in the Australian MMA regional scene, this call up for both you and Cody, it's like a breath of fresh air because you see all the chaos unfolding. I want to get your thoughts on just a lot of the craziness, not necessarily getting into specifics, but seeing it kind of all unfold. And then even at 155, seeing, Harry Webb jump over to Eternal, and then you got Josh Togo going over to the PFL. Those are two guys that, for a long time were kind of spoken about to fight you potentially on the regional scene. What's your thoughts on almost just like all of this shakeup in the regional scene and just the chaos that has unfolded over the past, month or two?
Yeah, to be honest, I've kind of kept away from it. I've just turned a blind eye towards that. Like all the MMA promotions fighting over the fighters, and the fighters just wanting to, pick the right opportunity at the right time. So yeah, it has been, bit chaotic, but sometimes that's the game. This game is chaos at times.
No, yeah, definitely. And I know for you, staying out of the drama, but instead of, getting into the drama, diving into, unknown territories. And I know we talk about your skating prowess, which we'll dive into in just a moment. But, when are we going to we got Cooking with Volk. I got to ask, when are we getting Cooking with Quillan? Because I know you've stepped into the kitchen as of late and you've been producing banger after banger. When can we expect to see Cooking with Quillan coming to a YouTube channel anytime soon?
It's Quill's Cuisine. That's going to be the title. I don't know, man. I did one video that I filmed with my mate in the kitchen one time after my last fight, and yeah, I still got to put it together. I'm not really much of an a tech editor, so that might take a while to 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 put it all together. But it's coming slowly. But yeah, it'll come. It'll come. Episode 2 might release even before episode 1. So I've got ideas up in this head.
No, yeah, definitely gotta stay busy up until the Contender series fight. But I know for you, Quillan, just the discipline that you guys exude out of Louis Stroh Combat Academy. For you and Cody, both still very young in your fighting careers, to have this level of poise and just to be able to stay steadfast on your goal. I know for you guys, it hasn't been easy sometimes with matchups. Sometimes they fall out. They don't, they don't materialize the way that you kind of envision them to. But you guys have always stayed really kind of steadfast in your goals, and you've had a really mature mindset very early on. What do you kind of attribute that to, just being able to have such a clear mind and clear frame of what you want to get out of this sport so early on?
Yeah, I think I've always had that even while like playing footy and skating. Like I've always been kind of like a one track mind, having a goal and always pursuing it. And I believe that everything that happens is destined to be. So if something bad or something good happens, I don't dwell too much on it. I just just deal with it and continue on to the next thing.
No, yeah, definitely. And I know this fight with Gage Young, it's one of those fights that, with you on one hand and him on one end, it's a very exciting fight, I think, for the fans who don't know, it's one of those fights that, you know, if it goes under the radar, they're going to be reminded of just how talented either guy is. And I don't want to read too deep into the future, but I know, you know, there's a couple of, you know, fighters inside the UFC who have taken up skateboarding, you know, not professionally, but they've done it, you know, like Jalen Turner at 155. I got to ask Quillan, not necessarily looking too deep into the future about prospective opponents in the MMA realm, but granted you get that UFC contract, when can we expect to see you challenge other UFC fighters in a game of skate? Winner takes the best skater in the UFC perspective title.
It's the best base for MMA, having a skateboarding background. None of this, you know, college wrestling background. Don't need none of that. As long as you skated as a kid, yeah, you're going to be just fine in MMA. But yeah, I plan on, you know, challenging some of my fellow MMA skaters to, you know, to a good old fashioned game of skate.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I know two names that stand out to me, Jalen Turner and Peyton Talbot, who I would
Yeah,
pay horrendous amounts of money
yeah.
to see you guys go at it head to head in a game of skate. But, you know, Quillan, I got to thank you so much for your time for the quick chat. It's always a pleasure and privilege to speak with you. And I guess just on one final note, I know for you, you know, of course, fighting on the Contender Series in September, just after UFC 305, unfortunately, you know, I would have loved to see you fight on the Contender Series and then fight in Perth, you know, right after. But I know for you, you know, there's still 3 months to the year. What are your goals? Not looking past Gage Young, of course, but, you know, just for the year, whether it's fighting related or personal goals, what can we expect to see from Quillan Salkilld come the Contender Series bout? And what are your thoughts on Gage Young as an opponent?
Man, my goal after this Contender Series fight is to fight again in the UFC late November, early December. I've always had the goal for the last few years of, you know, getting into the UFC before the age of 25. And, you know, I turned 25 at the very end of the year, 28th of December. So I'd like to actually have my first fight in the UFC promotion before that. So one more after this Contender Series fight before the end of the year. And, you know, Gage, I'm still meant to keep it a secret. So I don't even know if I'm fighting Gage Young, you know? I can't confirm or deny that I'm actually fighting him. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see when it's all official.
Absolutely, and you know, whoever it may be, Gage Young or not
Whoever it
Gage
may
Young,
be, never know.
sheesh,
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
leaks
You
are
know,
wrong, mate.
I
The leaks
mean,
might be wrong.
to be honest, you know, there's a certain individual out of WA by the name of Ben P who's been leaking all sorts of
Yeah.
information as of late. But, you know, Quillan, regardless of that, I want to congratulate you and Cody on this massive opportunity just to showcase your skills once again at the highest level. You know, us as supporters and just FightWave as a whole is going to be watching and just really is excited for this opportunity for the Louis Show boys. And to the fans at home watching, do be sure to check out Quillan Salkilld against whoever it may be, Gage Young or not Gage Young, on the Contender Series. It's going to be a fight to remember. And, you know, two Australians with a chance to make history. It doesn't get much better than that. Do be sure to check out Quillan on social media. I will be linking his socials in the description down below. And to prospective UFC fighters, you know, granted, Quillan gets the UFC contract. I wouldn't be worried about a fight. I'd be worried about that game of skate. So thank you guys so much for watching. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave. Have a great day, guys.